Welcome, everybody, to another One Club United European podcast, episode 3. Can't believe we're already in episode 3 already. It's absolutely flown by. Today, we're going to be talking to the second round and third round fixtures. We're already seeing teams reach at the round of 16 now, so we're absolutely flying past the tournament. So let's get straight into episode 3. And today, we have a special guest from the Biggleswade United ladies team, and that is Karen Clark.
Hiya.
Karen, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. Thank you for coming on and talking with us. So before we obviously get into the European talk, I just wanted to talk about this season. Congrats, obviously, winning the league. That was really great stuff. It was really great watching you. How did you feel the season went? Because obviously you had a few stoppages with lockdowns and that.
Yeah, it was tough, and it's hard to keep the girls all together and sort of maintain that sort of collectiveness that we had beforehand. So that was tough, but as soon as we were able to train again, we were all back together, and it felt like we hadn't been away. And it was quite nice they created that special league for us to play against, so we weren't travelling too far, etc. So that was quite good, and then obviously good to get the live streams out there as well.
Yeah, it was really good. It was just nice coming down as well. And obviously, it gave the fans something to watch as well on YouTube and Twitch. Of course, we'll be carrying that on next season as well. And I believe, wasn't it Dean's first season coaching you as well? How did you find that? How did you find him as your coach?
Yeah, obviously at first everyone's a bit nervous. We don't really know what he's coming in to do. But I think when you play for Biggleswade, there's a certain style that you play. And I think the managers just adopt the same style as the previous manager. So it wasn't that big a change, really. It was just obviously him getting used to us, changing maybe the formation slightly or where everyone was playing. And then sort of settling on a team. And yeah, it worked well in the end.
Of course, so you had Christina as your manager before. I'm sure she's done great stuff with you. Unfortunately, I wasn't at the club at the time to see that. But I just wanted to ask, do they sort of have similar coaching styles on the training ground, or is there a slight different twist on them?
Yeah, I mean, Dean's a bit more vocal than Christina ever was, that's for sure.
See that on the touchline.
Exactly. But both managers, they want us to play out from the back. So, we've worked really hard on that and, giving the keeper options. And really they want us to play attacking football. So we don't really want to be going back unless we need to. But we want, they want us all to be comfortable on the ball and then just keep possession as much as possible.
Is that the style of football you enjoy playing? Playing out
definitely.
From the back?
Yeah, because I've been playing defence this season, so it gives me more touches on the ball. It gets your confidence up straight away because you've had the ball at your feet more. Whereas if you're going for the long ball option, you can go through 10 minutes in a game when you're not touching it.
Yeah, does Dean give you any tips to keep fit during? Obviously, the season's ended now. Do you have to keep fit or anything, or can you sort of just take a break from that and then?
I think it's personal preference. Me personally, I'm a bit older than most of the other players, so I like to stay on top of my fitness. So I do some jogging out of season, and I still play some football as well. Every week I've been attending the trial sessions as well. So, for me, it's important to stay on top of my own personal fitness. Some of the younger ones are obviously more naturally fit.
And how have the trials gone there? Has there been a lot of new players coming along this time?
Yeah, so we just had one session last week. That was the first session, 27 degrees. So, but we had
yeah, it was hot.
Yeah, we had 11 new players there, so it was brilliant. And that was a mixture of some players from teams that we've played against and some youngsters. So it was really good. And obviously going ahead with the two teams for next season. We need extra players, and it was good to see, and the standard was decent.
So obviously going towards next season, you'll have, I think, wasn't it they called it the red and the blue team?
Yeah, exactly.
And will the players cross over between the two teams, or will you stay in your given teams from the start to end of the season?
I think generally speaking, you'll stay in your given teams, but there's a potential there for any newcomers to, if they started off in the blue team, which would be the logical reserve team, let's say.
Yeah.
Then if they showed promise and everything, they could push forward to go into the red team. There is some rules over how many players you can play up, how many times that is. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head now, but so yeah, you don't want too much switching between the squads, but I guess really what we want to do is offer a good standard of football and competitive standard of football at both levels. So depending on your commitments and your aspirations, there should be a team for you there.
Yeah, and of course, it obviously brings in more players as well, because if you have one team, you probably have less opportunity of playing. So with two teams, you just get a whole lot more players in the training ground, obviously being able to actually play games as well, which is really great.
Yeah,
exactly. Do you have any personal targets for next season, though, at all?
Personal targets would be nice just to have a full season ahead without any stoppages. that would be good.
Fingers crossed.
And for me, it's always just playing 90 minutes week in, week out. I don't want to be a sub. I like to get the game time, and and I've been playing defence, but that's not to say I couldn't move into midfield. I do like midfield, but I understand I haven't quite got the legs like I used to have. So, but I enjoy watching the youngsters come through and helping them along during the games and trying to get the best out of those guys as well.
Yeah, that's really good, and obviously, hopefully, like you said, we'll have a full season, and you can obviously push on again, and hopefully win the main league, which would be really great.
Yeah.
And obviously, are you still got trials available? So if anyone wants to come down for a trial.
Yeah, so Wednesday evenings in Henlow for the next 2 weeks, and then I think there's going to be some more coming up as well. There's some other locations.
Stuff. And of course, they'll be on our social medias as well with contact information, everything like that.
Yes, absolutely.
So obviously now getting straight into the European talk, we're going to start like we did last week with Match of the Day. So today we have 2 live games to bring you. Obviously last week we just had Spain's game, but this week we have Finland versus Belgium and Russia versus Denmark. So this group, we're probably looking at it with Belgium going through. They are currently sitting at top. I believe with 6 points, while we're sort of looking towards who's going to finish in that second place spot with Finland, Russia and Denmark all having a chance. Before we talk a little bit about Belgium, we do have an interview with Roberto Martinez, the manager.
Well-balanced team will take in consideration the physical state of each player, but there will be changes, but not just changing for the sake of it. It'll be changes for a reason, and try to get a balanced team and make sure that everyone is fully fresh for the next game next week. Axel Witsel, Kevin De Bruyne and Eden Hazard for us is very, very important that they can start a game in this tournament, and that was always the work of the 3 players to be fit for this tournament. It shows the commitment that they have towards the team. I've seen similar situations where players, they give up and they don't make it for the tournament. And the case of Axel Witsel, after rupturing his Achilles tendon in January, to be fit and to be able to play, for us, those focus need to see the players in the starting lineup in the last game.
So there is Roberto Martinez talking ahead of tonight's game. Obviously, Belgium is sitting up top, so they're probably quite happy because obviously Italy were doing the same. They were sitting up top with 6 points, and they just gave players a chance just to have a rest because you've got so many games. Karen, how important is it to have a rest between games? I'm sure you've had a few this season where they're quite close together.
Yeah, I think you don't realise how important it actually is, but sometimes rest is as good as exercise, and you've got to listen to your body. So it's definitely important.
What have you made of Belgium? Have you watched many games?
I did watch their last game. Yeah, very good, very interesting to watch. I definitely think they're going to get quite far into the tournament.
Yeah, they're looking really good. You got Romelu Lukaku linking up with De Bruyne. Lukaku's carrying on his form. I don't think he scored the other night though, but he's sort of just creating chances. He looked really quick because I remember Man United getting rid of him because I think with the lack of his pace. But I mean, he looked pretty rapid the other night.
Definitely.
As you can just see there, a clip with some of the players during the training season within midweek. You actually have Thierry Henry there helping coach. I believe he was there at the World Cup as well. So I mean,
that's got to be an inspiration.
Yeah, it's definitely like you're saying. It's like I saw a clip of him the other day taking a free kick with his left foot, and like all the players just amazed on his weak foot. He still got it into the top right hand corner. So that was quite cool to see, especially for an Arsenal fan seeing him do that still.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you got Russia, Denmark. So obviously Denmark. I'm sure you heard of the Ericsson incident. Did you see the incident at all?
I didn't see it. We had the TV on. We were actually in the garden because it was nice and sunny that day, and my daughter and her friends came through the house and said, "Oh, something's happened," and then we all rushed in to see what was going on. But yeah, it was great to see how the teammates and the other players, Danish team and everything, sort of rallied round and gave that support. I think it's been brilliant.
Yeah, they dealt with it really well, since in a situation you never going to expect it to happen. Denmark obviously lost out in that game. They lost 1-0 to Finland. They didn't really look like they were there, because obviously I don't think they would have really wanted to play. I think Ericsson gave the nod for the players to go ahead to play. So they obviously started this tournament off pretty, not the way they would have wanted it. Obviously unfairly, of course. So they're not at the best to start. Do you think they'll be able to clinch that second spot, though? Or do you feel like they may have to go in third place?
I think it's going to be tight for them. I think they could be fighting out the third spot.
I do think we do have a little interview from the Denmark head coach that we'll be playing for you in a second.
Jeg tror, det betød meget for dem, som ikke har set ham. Det er klart, specielt nogen, som har været tæt på. Er det en ting at se på nogle videobilleder og på nogle optagelser, noget andet, det er at gå hen og mærke ham og se ham i øjnene og tage fat i ham og så videre. Det tror jeg har været godt. Og der er ingen tvivl om, at jeg synes også, at der er en lidt anden stemning nu. Klart, men ja, det var godt at se Christian og familien, og jeg tror for spillerne, for en del spillere, der var det meget vigtigt og en god ting.
And that was the Denmark head coach talking about Christian Eriksen, who has now been discharged from hospital, resting at home with his family. There's obviously still a bit unsure if he will play again, as I believe there is a current rule in Serie A where if you have any heart conditions like he had, he's not allowed to play again in that league as a rule. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on there. But on your screen there, you did just see the two lineups. So we'll keep you up to date there of all the live scores coming in. But yeah, let's move on. And that is into the second and start of third round of fixture results. So I'm going to quickly go through these. So you had Group F, which was Hungary versus Portugal. Portugal won that one 3-0 with Guerrero and Ronaldo scoring 2. Then we had France versus Germany. France won that one 1-0 with a Mats Hummels own goal. France actually only had one shot on target all game there, which I think was quite unexpected since they have a very strong lineup, especially in that attacking third of the pitch. Group A, we had Turkey versus Wales. Wales won that one 2-0. Crucial win for Wales with Ramsey and Roberts scoring there. Then you had Italy 3, Switzerland 0. Locatelli with 2 of the goals from midfield in a very impressive game. And Ciro Immobile getting another goal in the tournament. Then obviously moving into the third round of fixtures in Group A, we had Italy 1, Wales 0. Pessina scoring and Ampadu being sent off for Wales. And finally, we had Switzerland 3, Turkey 1 with Seferovic and Shaqiri getting 2. And Wales will now face second place in Group B, while Italy will face second place in Group C. Moving on to Group B, we had Finland 0, Russia 1 with Miranchuk scoring for Russia. And then we also had Belgium 2, Denmark 1 with Poulsen scoring for Denmark within 2 minutes, while Thorgan Hazard, Eden's brother, and De Bruyne scoring the goals. Group C, we had Ukraine 2, North Macedonia 1 with Yarmolenko and Yaremchuk scoring for Ukraine, while Alioski of Leeds scored for North Macedonia. And they are the same 2 players for Ukraine who scored 2 goals the previous week as well. So they're obviously linking up having a really good tournament for Ukraine. And then we also had Netherlands 2, Austria 0 with Depay and Dumfries scoring. Both players having really great tournaments. And I believe Depay's just got his move to Barcelona on a free as well. I'm not sure if that's been confirmed by Barcelona, but it's very close. Group D, we had Croatia 1, Czech Republic 1, with Perisic and Patrick Schick scoring. Schick scoring with his third goal of the tournament. Next up, we had England versus Scotland, finishing a disappointing 0-0, with a review coming up shortly of that game. Group E, we had Sweden 1, Slovakia 0, with Emil Forsberg scoring. And then we also had Spain 1, Poland 1, with Morata scoring, and then Lewandowski, as he always does, scoring for Poland, while Spain also missed a penalty. So another game you expect Spain probably to win there, and they couldn't quite find it, struggling in this tournament as of so far. And then finally, with Group F, we had Hungary versus France to finish 1-1. This was a massive result for Hungary, very unexpected, especially on France's side, to not be able to secure a win there, with Viola scoring for Hungary and Griezmann scoring for France. France, with the best attack, only scored twice so far this tournament, which is very low for them. And then finally, we had a game that we're going to review later on as well, and that was Portugal versus Germany. Germany winning 4-2. Ronaldo Jota scored for Portugal, while Ruben Diaz own goal, Guerrero own goal, Havertz and Goossens scored for Germany. So yeah, quite a few fixtures in there we've missed over the coming last week. But yeah, let's get straight into the England and Scotland review. So England obviously finished 0-0 with Scotland. What did you make of the game, Karen?
Yeah, I think it was one of those ones where, as always, when you're an England fan, the expectations are so high, and you wait all day for it, and you sit down, and we start well, so you're really encouraged, and then all of a sudden you get a bit despondent again. I mean, I thought Scotland did really well. They kept us at bay. I thought we had some early chances, and we were a bit unlucky maybe first up, but it just was disappointing. I think just not enough creativity, not enough shots on target. It just wasn't attacking enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, and there's a little graph there on your screen right now, and you can see where the average player in each position was currently playing on the pitch. And I've just highlighted them on the left-hand side here in a circle. There's 3 England players lined up there. I believe that is Kane, Mount and Sterling. And it was really weird because they were just sitting so close together and so jointed. And then you got the space at the left, up the left here, which is obviously where Luke Shaw was playing. Of course, we're used to seeing him for Man United bombing down that left, which he wasn't doing. Right back, we had Reece James, who again wasn't getting forward. He put one cross in for Kane, and I think Kane was caught offside, but I think that's literally the only cross he put in. So there's just so many chances there. I mean, yeah, obviously Scotland started with a 3, but they obviously could drop back into a 5, and they sort of just defended us really well and cancelled us out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important that we didn't concede any goals, so that's good. But at the same time, it just wasn't the style of football that we wanted to see at this stage, when you've got other teams, like Germany, and that impressing with the goals that they can score. So at the moment, no one's going to be scared of England.
No, yeah, like you said, they defended well, and we're yet to concede in the tournament from 2 games. What did you make of the Rice and Phillips partnership? We obviously saw that work against Croatia, but we didn't need it.
It worked well there, but then again, was it too defensive? Did we really need it against Scotland? Should we have tried to go for the win more? I think really we should have pressed higher, and like you say, more crosses into the box. We just weren't a threat.
Sorry about that. I'm back now.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just saying, we were perhaps a bit too deep. We need more crosses into the box, more attacking play. And, we had a real chance there to, give some of the youngsters some proper time on the ball and everything. But we just didn't create the opportunities.
No, I don't know if you touched on it just then, but obviously we had Foden on the pitch, very creative player. And then you had Sterling on the left-hand side, who wasn't having the best of games. And yet he brings Foden off. And then... Yeah,
I haven't spoken to anyone that thought that was a good idea.
No, it was strange because like you can see in that, obviously, graph we showed, Sterling wasn't actually sitting on that left-hand side. He was coming in so deep. And you feel a player like Grealish could have come on and sat on that left-hand side and probably just provided a bit more of a threat. Sort of when you got like players sitting back behind the ball, you need someone good on the ball who's sort of going to find a bit of space and maybe get a shot or a pass off.
Yeah, and I did think Grealish when he came on, he looked okay. It was good, but it just wasn't enough by that point, and there was no one else supporting him, and really need the wingers doing their job.
Yeah, I don't know if Scotland are going to be able to get a result against Croatia. Now Billy Gilmore's also out because he played quite an impressive role. Because I know the commentators were saying like 20 minutes in, he was like gassed out. But I mean, he lasted pretty much all game, and he's sort of a crucial part of that midfield. Yeah,
a lot of the players looked quite lethargic and tired on the evening. So, and I think Scotland will miss him, and it will be interesting to see, how they do without him.
Yeah, I also found it quite interesting because I was looking at how many passes were received by each player, and Reece James playing at right back had the most passes received at 74, and then our attacking players, even though we had 60% possession, Foden received the ball 31 times, Mount 37, and Sterling 31, with Kane only at 18. So that's where the problem is, because there is a stat I've got here as well for Germany where the big players are turning up. Kroos 80 passes, Gundogan 62, Müller 46. You need these big players to be able to get on the ball and to create something.
Yeah, exactly that. And that's what you should be looking to do, in your team, is you want to give the ball to those players. And if they're not getting enough touches on the ball, you're not going to score the goals.
Do you think Harry Kane keeps his position for final game, or would you like to see someone else up there?
Yeah, I think he will do, because I think, he's always got a goal in him. And even sometimes when he goes missing in games, he still pops up with a goal here or there. So, but I think at the same point, it would be nice to give other people a chance if he's not performing. I think you've got to start him and see where it goes.
Yeah, it's I like you said, I feel like Kane offers more of a threat than Calvert-Lewin would, just because how crucial, how many goals he scores in the Premier League. He knows how to find the back of the net with ease.
Exactly.
And he's just got, like I said, he's got experience with the players around him.
And he can win the free kicks as well. So, you've got that option as well. So I think it's definitely worth starting him. And okay, if he's not performing after 70 minutes or something, then give someone else a chance.
Would you keep Mason Mount sitting in behind, or would you change that slightly?
Yeah, I think I probably would be inclined to change it. I mean, he's isolating now as well, isn't he? So don't even know if he's going to be available yet. Him
and Chilwell, I believe.
Yeah.
So again, I'd probably swap him out. I'd put Grealish in the middle, and
I'd like to see Grealish start.
Yeah, especially we're on 4 points as well, so we're looking pretty comfortable going through. Playing Czech Republic as well, who are sitting above us. I mean, a point again with them. We're not really going to be losing out on that second spot. And I'd also like to see Jude Bellingham in there. 17 years old.
Yeah, it's always nice when you get one of the youngsters making a name for themselves in a tournament. So I think that would be good as well, to give him some more time. Yeah,
and obviously he played with Dortmund, so he sort of played with that bit of pressure. Obviously not played at a major tournament yet, but he has played in Champions League. And he seems to be our only real number 8 in the squad. Because you got Henderson, but he's more of a 6, sort of defensive, not exactly attacking minded.
Yeah, and he's not really fit. He's not had the game time behind him. But again, at least, with Henderson, he can produce those passes. He can spread the ball out wide. So again, he offers something slightly different to what we had before.
Yeah, I think Henderson, though, could be quite crucial in the last stages of the tournament if we can reach that, with his experience he can bring and his leadership.
Yeah.
Winning the Champions League final, playing on the big occasions, which is obviously something that he didn't have previously. And, we've got Champions League winners from Chelsea in the squad. James, Mount, Chilwell, all can bring this extra experience.
Exactly.
You've got league winners in there. So I do believe it might be down to Southgate why the team's not performing, though, because you've got all the talent sort of looking throughout all the teams. We've got one of the good best teams in there, and they just don't seem to gel together like you'd hope they would.
Exactly.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see against Czech Republic. Obviously, Patrick Schick's been on form. We've yet to concede a goal, so it'll be nice to see how we deal with him. If we keep Stones and Mings at centre back, or maybe put Maguire back in there.
Yeah.
We wait to be seen. But just in case you didn't see the game, I've got some just key stats here, just so you got an idea of how the game went down. England had 9 attempts on goal, and they only found the target once, which is very poor. They had 60% possession, and they attempted 570 passes, with 519 being successful. And we actually have a Southgate interview here as well, just sort of to give you a bit of a talk down. That'll be played any second now.
Fans booed so loudly at the end, and do you think it was a bit unfair, given you'd had a good performance in the first game against Croatia?
No, I think our fans are entitled to react however they want, and we're disappointed with our own performance, and I totally understand their reaction. We're expected to beat Scotland. They'll be frustrated by that, and yeah, in the end, we've got to live with that and deal with that. It's not just about one person. It's Scotland. I thought marked him extremely well. With the back five, there isn't a lot of space, and of course, they managed to, anything that was played up, they were aggressive. They defended well.
Yeah, that was Gareth Southgate there talking after the England game, and about the fans booing at full time, which I think you're going to expect really when you've had 60% possession and you've not been able to find the back of the net, and especially in a derby game. The Scotland fans are pretty happy. We might have seen on social media. They enjoyed that draw. I don't think
you can take it away from Scotland, can you? I mean, they played well, so they should be happy.
Yeah, they should. They did really well. They really grinded the performance, because he got into the last stage of the game. It sort of dropped deep, less attacks.
Yeah.
And just a few key stats here for Scotland. They had 11 attempts on target, so they had more in England, even though they had 40% possession with 1 on target. So they were trying to create more attempts. Probably a bit more played on the counter-attack, I would say. And they also had attempted passes of 383 with a completion of 312. And just like, again, you can see in that little diagram, you had the 2 in midfield sitting, McGregor and Gilmore, while McGinn just slightly pushed on. And that just worked really well for him. We couldn't really get past it very well. And it just worked so hard. So, yeah, obviously credit to Scotland. And it'll be interesting to see if they can make that 3rd place. And maybe we'll see them late again in the tournament.
Yeah.
So next on, we are moving to Portugal and Germany review. Did you catch any of this game?
Yeah, watched the whole game. Yeah. It was good, actually. It was, after the disappointment of the England result, it was really good to sit and watch a proper game of football, end-to-end stuff, goals, everything.
Yeah, it's a proper goal fest. You don't always get that in the big games.
Exactly.
And yeah, it was obviously Ronaldo took the lead on 15 minutes in typical Ronaldo fashion. It was actually a really nice build-up goal.
I thought actually Germany started the game much stronger than Portugal. Like it's they had an offside, and I just thought that they really started well, and Portugal got a bit deep. But then obviously Ronaldo just pops up, doesn't he, every time?
Yeah, he did. I think it was one of them ones where he sprinted pretty much 3/4 of the pitch to get on the end of Jota's ball. Just in that little graph there, you can see just how the teams roughly lined up. You had Goossens, Kimmich playing higher up, more like wing backs, and then they could drop back into a 5. So Germany actually playing 3 at the back. But what have you made of Portugal playing? Because obviously they aren't really a team that like keep possession. They seem to play on the counter attack more so, even though they've sort of got the players to keep possession.
Yeah, I just think, as when you've got Ronaldo in your team, it's just a winning combination, isn't it? Because he's just a born winner. So that you're always in with a chance when he's in the team. And I think he leads by example, and he sort of brings the rest of the team. But I was I'm a Liverpool fan anyway, but I was impressed with Jota as well. I thought he played well.
Yeah, he's feeling nice on that left-hand side. Yeah, he's another player that gets goals, and he obviously did get the second goal. he can always find a backline. Maybe he's not the most consistent player.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does function well in a team like Portugal's team. But from the 1-0 from Portugal, it went down to 2-1 to Germany, which is pretty funny, wasn't it? It was Diaz's own goal and a Guerrero own goal in the space of 3 minutes.
I know. I couldn't believe it, really. I mean, it was, you have to sort of feel a bit unlucky for them, but at the same time, they had players that could have tapped it in anyway. They were there knocking on the door.
Yeah, it was the wing backs causing the problems for Portugal with Goossens and Kimmich getting down, and it was just like the defenders couldn't exactly adjust their feet because it was happening so fast the play, and especially Diaz at the start of the season he's had. Yeah,
and Goossens down the wing, he was just unbelievable. He had a great game.
He impressed me so much. He's at Atlanta, and I also had a great season in Serie A. So I'm surprised no one's actually looked at him, really, because he had a really good season there, and he seems to be able to carry it on international on the big stage. Maybe
depending on the results now and how well they do, and how maybe people will be having a look at him over the summer.
Yeah, it's probably boosted his budget up a bit if we work a bit more now. From the Guerrero own goal, which made it 2-1 Germany, and they actually made it 4-1 Germany, with Havertz scoring on the 51st minute. And Goossens, like we just spoke about, scoring in the 60th minute. And then Jota obviously brought it back to 4-2 on the 67th minute, but Portugal are unable to find another goal. They did look like they did fret a few times though.
Yeah. They were still pressing. They hadn't given up. They're still trying to win the game. And that's what I said at the beginning. It's just it was end-to-end stuff. No team then just sat back and just tried to protect a lead. They were both going for the win. It was, it was just a really good game to watch.
Do you feel Germany benefited without having Timo Werner up front? Because they actually started with Gnabry up front, even though he's a bit more of a right-sided player, and then they had Müller and Havertz playing just behind in the cam positions.
Yeah, and again, Havertz played well as well. He had a good game.
Yeah, he had a really. He scored the winner in the Champions League final, so I feel like that's probably gave him the confidence. Because he didn't have the best of seasons, did he? And it just worked really well. You just saw the old Germany back, really. Like, they're just one of those teams that can always perform in the big games.
Exactly that. You can't rule them out ever. They've always got it within the team. You've got experience there, and they're playing at the top levels.
Yeah, and then a passing stat I gave you earlier as well, just to indicate how the big players always step up on the big occasions, with Toni Kroos receiving 80 passes, so obviously so influential in that midfield, alongside Gundogan, who had 62, and then you had Thomas Müller on 46. So, like, Müller sort of played the role that England didn't have, and that was that player in that attacking third to sort of just keep picking up the ball every time and trying to create something or try to run at players. And I feel that's why Germany was just so dominant, because they've got so many good players and they actually just turn up on the big stage, and it just makes all the difference.
It does, definitely, and in competitions like this where you've got to turn up from day one, haven't you? You haven't got time to really build into the tournament too much, because you want to get that first and second spot.
Yeah, you don't have any time. You get 3 games in the group stage. So you either turn up or you don't, and then you go through or you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, they have to make it count. So yeah, again, I've just got some key stats. So if you didn't watch the game, you got a bit of an understanding of what happened. So you had Portugal with 8 attempts with 2 on target, 44% possession, and they completed 373 out of their 434 passes. We have a interview here of the head coach of Portugal as well that will be coming up any second now.
Sim, mas a Alemanha também foi previsível no sentido da forma como jogou e todos os movimentos que fez. E nada do que a Alemanha fez não estava detalhado e não estava analisado e não foi visto. Portanto, em termos de probabilidade, sim. Agora, a questão depois tem a ver com aquilo que é a dinâmica do jogo, não é? No plano puramente teórico, o treinador da Alemanha estudou em Portugal, o que é que devia fazer? Nós também estamos bem em Alemanha, mas a Alemanha foi superior. E agora vamos pensar no jogo da França, é um jogo diferente. É o próximo jogo, o último, é aquele que na realidade tem para nós todas as condições para alcançar o resultado que nos faça seguir em frente, é isso que desejamos.
So we're sort of saying there, they prepared well for the game, but Germany were the better team, even though Germany they couldn't cope with the win backs at all.
Exactly. But I felt like even, in the last 10 minutes, you got Muller, he was throwing everything at it. They're just so passionate, and it was great.
Yeah, and if you're just looking at the lineup here, it was very similar to England's, because they had the two defensive midfielders with William Carvalho and Danilo, and then they had three creative players: Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, and Diego Jota. Bruno Fernandes, another player, he's really good in the Premier League. He's constantly scoring goals, constantly assisting, but in the big games, he just doesn't quite seem to be himself.
Yeah, we were saying that here when we were watching it, just saying, well, where is he? Well, you can normally rely on him and everything, and he just didn't stand out at all.
Yeah, he had a total of 27 passes to him, so he didn't really feel like he offered himself up.
Yeah.
I can't quite find. I don't know if there's some sort of, because at Man United, he's sort of the main player. He's the player everyone looks at to create stuff. When he's playing in a team like Portugal, he's sort of got Ronaldo there, and I don't know if that's sort of like a bit off-putting.
Yeah, maybe he's in his shadow a bit or something, and doesn't know how to react. But then that could change again. A bit more time, he might come into his own. Yeah,
and maybe it's just a style of play as well, with Portugal playing more on the counter-attack. I think Fernandes is more, possession-based. You'll see him drop back deep to pick the ball up, and then he'll spread passes left, right, and centre. And I feel like it's going to be quite a similar game with France, even though France haven't been scoring. I don't feel like Portugal will be dominating, and they'll be playing on the counter-attack again.
Yeah, it is very much their style.
Yeah, do you feel Portugal will be able to get far in this tournament? Especially the way they've been playing. It's not been...
Yeah, I think so, because again, I think they're just they're one of those teams that you can always expect in the latter stages. So I think they've got enough about them to be there.
Yeah, and Ronaldo obviously just always you still know what's going to happen for Ronaldo. He'll get you goals, and he can carry a team pretty much on his own.
Definitely.
That's just how good he is.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've also got a stat here about Ronaldo as well, because he did break one of the records that will pop up very shortly. And he's now got the most goals in the European finals and in the Euros, with finals and qualifying put together. Another record he's broken. He just seems to be able to keep at that high level so much.
That's it. And age doesn't seem to make any difference to him, does it? He just keeps going.
Yeah, and like you were saying though, he works so hard. He's always training. He's always trying to keep fit, and he was always looking in better shape than all the younger players around him.
Exactly.
He puts that extra
he's
work.
He's so driven.
In. Yeah, and it's really good seeing this. This is a great role model for all the young players that, when you're sort of reaching your final stage of your career, you can still go on to achieve records and to win tournaments and that.
Absolutely.
And then we just got some final key stats here for Germany. They had 13 attempts with 7 on target. So obviously they were very clinical up front. 56% possession, of course. 545 completed passes out of 600. And then we have a interview here of the Germany head coach, Jürgen Löw. I think that's how you say his name.
Das hat mit Initialzündung, glaube ich, jetzt auch nicht so viel zu tun. Natürlich gibt es so einen Erfolg, mal nochmal eine gewisse Stärkung. Wir haben jetzt ja nicht gezweifelt, auch wenn wir gegen den Weltmeister mal verloren haben. Wir wussten, einige Dinge können wir besser machen. Das war ja auch klar. Beim Turnier heißt es, irgendwie Schritt für Schritt zu gehen. Das nächste Spiel wird gegen Ungarn, wird vielleicht auch noch zäher, weil Ungarn vielleicht tiefer steht, weil Ungarn irgendwie mit 8, 9 Leuten verteidigt und so ein paar einzelne Konter hofft. Also ich weiß nicht, wir müssen jedes Spiel, so wie heute, so müssen wir arbeiten, so müssen wir den Gegner irgendwie unter Druck setzen und dann können wir irgendwie Schritt für Schritt vorankommen. Es gibt genug starke Mannschaften in dem Turnier. Und die ersten 1, 2 Spiele oder so immer irgendwie perfekt spielen oder alles rund läuft, die haben in den seltensten Fällen irgendwie ein Turnier gewinnen können.
So yeah, there's Jurgilo just talking about, can Germany put that sort of same performance and level of intensity against Hungary, a team that's going to sit back? Talking about Hungary, though, do you feel like they can sort of repeat the same performance they did against France, or do you think it might just be too much for them, this Germany side?
Yeah, I think it's going to be too much for them. I don't think Germany have got that much to worry about. I mean, obviously they did perform well, but I think Germany just got the quality and the depth in the team, and I don't think they're going to be that troubled.
Yeah, I feel like Germany probably will get the result against Hungary. Hungary, you didn't really expect much coming into the tournament. They haven't got many well-known players. But they're just one of these underdog teams that you never know. Just that performance against France will probably just give the fans, something to remember the tournament by.
Exactly. It could be that's it, and they've come and gone. But yeah, I think Germany, will sail through.
I mean, we're just sort of reaching the end of our reviews here. So just to get some more information here, 2 seconds. There we go. Yeah, so I just wanted to ask you, who do you feel like is going to be able to go on and win this tournament?
I'm interested to see what Belgium do next. See how they play. I think they've got a good chance. And I think it's just the usuals, the Germany, Portugal, and France really to see. I think they'll all make the lesser stages, but I think Belgium is the team that I'm sort of kind of looking forward to see play and see what they do.
Yeah, what about Italy? What are your thoughts on Italy? Because they're the team that sort of come in.
Yeah, and they had a good game, didn't they? So they did look strong the other night. I have to say, they did look very strong. So that's it. There's so many good teams in it. It's and I just hope that England can step up their performance and get on the same sort of level as these guys, because they seem to just turn up all the time.
Yeah, I think that was more expectation on England to perform more than Italy. I think Italy sort of the underdogs, so they're sort of forgotten side. They haven't got the same sort of players they had back then. Yeah, when you actually look at their team, they have a really good midfield, especially. Maybe a bit of an aging defence, but load of experience. It'll be really interesting to see sort of more of the bigger sides play later in the tournament and just sort of see if they can keep the same consistency they've shown throughout the group stages.
Sometimes it's hard when a team peaks so early as well, so you have to be careful with that.
And like we said earlier on, it's quite important with this, like the last game of the tournament, just to sort of give you players a bit of a refresh. Because then you think the next round of games will start on Saturday, so you should get a bit of a few days rest.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be quite crucial. Probably get on the training ground. Identify next opponents you're playing, so you can sort of think of tactical strategy to come up.
Yeah, and mentally, if we've got players that haven't really sort of shown up or haven't played so well, they need to get their heads around that and get back into the right frame of mind.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So I'll say, Karen, thank you for coming on. So
no problem.
It was really great having you here. Hopefully you didn't find it too hard with any of the questions or anything like that.
No, that's fine. Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Have a fantastic summer, and hopefully we'll see you very soon with the new start of the new season.
Lovely. Cheers, Josh.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Bye.
So our next guest we are bringing on today, and that is Arya. Hey, how are you?
Hi. I've got this Coke over here just so that, they get a little bit of their screen time. Cristiano Ronaldo can't just let go of all of it.
I read something where they missed out like £10 million or something, apparently, because he moved the Coca-Cola away from the screen in the press conference.
Yeah, I read that article as well. Apparently, it's not exactly that, and there's more context to it, like it's the case with everything in the world. But yeah, that was a funny thing.
So just before you start, for the people not watching, what is your role at the club?
Well, I'm in charge of the media at Biggleswade United. So we have wonderful volunteers such as yourself, Josh. We have Ellie, and there's a whole team. We've had Michael, and you've had Ryan as well on the show. Leon Waite, who does the match reports and knows everything about non-league football. I'm sure I'm forgetting people because there's always good people around.
Off the top of your
No,
head,
I'm not. Wait, Matt, who does the photography as well, Matt Burling.
Yeah.
There's also Tia, who's Ellie's sister, who comes on every so often and does a bit of the camera work, does a bit of the photography. It's just a great team. And now I have a organization that does it, and that does content creation for the multimedia space with sports clients. So now we have lots of clients from across the world, and it's often cricket, but we also handle Gay and Balagay, and so therefore we came on board with this. And I was kind of doing this almost alone with the volunteers because no one in my organization was so in tune with football. But now that Aritra has come on and he's producing this fantastic show, he's kind of brought in another level of enthusiasm to it, and you've seen the impact of it. So it's really great. It's fun because you get to do stuff that you really love doing with football, and I kind of feel like grassroots football is where it is, and getting an opportunity to do that and work with people like yourselves is just great.
Thank you. Yeah, it is really great fun. What have we made of watching Biggleswade United over the years? Obviously, it's slightly different to watching your Premier League football, your normal sort of the more expensive leagues and everything like that. And it's nice because you obviously get to sort of meet the players and you get to talk to the players a lot more, and you sort of, everyone around the club can bond a lot more, probably more so than what you do at like a Manchester United or an Arsenal.
I mean, just the access, right? Like, think about it. There's things that Man United just cannot do that we can do. I mean, we're right now a little hamstrung by technology and all of that, but just the moment you start getting these phones out, we do our streams on iPhone 7s. The moment we have these iPhone 11, 12s, which, we're working towards, the Veo camera starts streaming. We have the Veo set up. So there's a lot of that, and we can see what we can achieve through software like StreamYard. With Ari's picked up production over the course of this series. Right. These are the first shows he's producing, which is live. And it's at the level that I remember I used to work at ESPN, and I would have been proud of this 5-6 years ago. But at this level would have been insane. And we would have had a team doing it. Right. It's just right now, Ari talking to you. And then it's got this thing. He's in his balcony. I'm sure he's there. It's late at night and he's got these graphics, everything lined up. So, Luz dropped a message. Some great comments already coming in, Josh. So,
great seeing my teammate and you, of course, Josh. Hi to Arya. Amazing to see you. So, it's really great to have everyone coming in and watching, and that. It's really nice to see. And hopefully we can have a few more guests on throughout the course of the Euros. We tried to get someone from the ladies' team, from the men's team, maybe from someone from the youth team and everything like that. Which is really great to speak to everyone, of course. And hopefully we'll do some more individual podcasts throughout next season as well, but a one-to-one again, because we can do that now with the COVID restrictions. And then everyone can obviously, get to know some of the players and staff and that a bit better.
That's the thing, right? That's the closeness that you can feel to a club like Biggleswade United. The people are real. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that Mbappe and Rashford aren't real people. They're absolutely real people. But they're kind of a little distance away from you. Like the first time I went to Second Meadow, I think Elliot was there. He was also a wonderful volunteer for a while. And there was I think we could just walk onto the pitch and just kick the ball before we went on. And I did a few crossbar challenges. Doing things like that, sitting down with a family and watching the game and seeing those reactions, there's something so you connect to it. And you're bringing out a lot of that in your vlogs.
I was going to say, I've not played on the pitch yet. You beat me to it.
You should get on next time. Next time you're there, I tell you what, just talk to Tracy. She'll let you on.
Yeah, the last time they were growing the grass of things. I was unable to play. But hopefully next season, before some of the games, be able to get on there and have a little kick around. It's always great fun.
Hopefully when I'm there.
Hopefully you can come down. COVID situation's sort of easing.
Yeah.
You know, here in England, I've got my vaccine next Thursday, which is great. It's the first one. So, you know,
I've had
21,
my
22
first one.
year olds. How
I've
the
already
hell
had
did they
my
go?
first one. It's, I mean, the process was really smooth. It was really easy to get. But after that, like that night was absolute torture. It was worse than, so I had COVID last year, and this was worse than having COVID, like that night. But mate, some people don't have it. I just faced a lot of brunt of it, but still, you need to get through it. You know, it's just one of those things. It's a bitter pill to swallow kind of a thing. Yeah. So go get vaccinated.
No, definitely for sure. And hopefully we can get back to normal as soon as possible. So moving straight into the Euros, how many games have you watched?
I've been kind of watching most of them because, you know, we've Arya and I before the tournament we started playing FIFA games, playing for these teams, and you know we were doing tosses depending on who gets whom. And after that, we've just been following to see how many predictions we get right, and I think we've got 3 right in the first round of fixtures, playing as you know ourselves. But yeah, it's been. Watched a few of the Spain games. I obviously watched both. Watched both the England games. Watched Scotland play. Some of the other ones, like I think Russia, I haven't really watched Russia play yet. So yeah, I mean, still catching up on it. Sometimes it's just the timings. It's what 12:30 at night here right now, and then we have to wake up and do coffee with Guillaume.
Oh yeah. So obviously our chairman, Guillaume Balaguer, has it's like a coffee show every morning at 11 o'clock. That's obviously on Twitter, and I think you can catch that on Instagram. And he sort of talks about, you know, the previous night's game. So it could either be the England-Scotland derby. Obviously, he's supporting Spain, so he's not probably best pleased with how that's been going. Yeah, I'm sure you can obviously catch all of his previous shows as well. So go check that out. And of course, he'll be live again tomorrow at 11 o'clock. So you'll be able to catch that. So have you got a favourite moment so far of the Euros that you'd like to recall for everybody?
I've taken notes about things that I really wanted to bring up. But so favorite moment, right? I think it would have been that Hungary moment, right? Like just being able to hold on to that draw after losing their captain, and you know, just everyone getting behind. It was a crowd coming back into it. We haven't seen the crowd come back into it for a long time, and even when you know the crowd started coming back in the Premier League, the title was sort of decided, and it wasn't really. They didn't create a difference. But it was this game that you suddenly saw that, and that was heartening to see. And probably that was just the moment I enjoyed most.
Yeah, like you say, I think my favorite probably been cool. I don't know, to be honest. I'd like to say an England game, but it's not really been the best. You know, it was nice seeing the whole attacking team we have lined up, and you think it could be our year. It could be coming home, and then it's failed to turn up in typical England fashion, to be honest.
That's my gripe with English football. It's just how much you have hyped up your team every single tournament. By now, I'm so cynical about teams that I support getting into tournaments like that. I'm just like, oh, okay, fine. I'll start believing in it when we get to the semifinals or something like that. It's coming home. It's just an anthem. It's almost cynical now. It's just funny.
It gets us hyped up to believe.
It could really still work out. It's not. I think Joachim Low, you pronounce it better than I did. He was speaking about it's not the team that wins the first game that really matters. It's the team that starts hitting their stride in the third game and then in the knockouts. And that's what you need in a cup competition to start getting that right. Harry Kane starts scoring. They just hit a rhythm between them. You have Rashford that might replace Sterling or something along those lines that could just click together, and England could well win this. It could come home.
And because obviously you got the defensive part, right? We yet to concede a goal. Probably our best centre back, Maguire, playing. Still got Tyrone Mings. The full-back sort of change every game. You got a right back at left back occasionally. There's not quite got a good bit of rotation in there. So yeah, as long as we can get that attack functioning right, I think we've got a really fantastic chance of getting to the latter stage of the tournament.
Yeah.
So we're going to go. So talking about our favourite moments, we're actually going to a clip now, which is going to show the top 4 moments of this week. So we'll play that any second now for you. Such a great clip.
I love that. That
Yes.
animation of movement is done by this young 21-year-old called Rahul. Karen says, thanks for having me. It was great listening to Karen talk, actually. That was really, really interesting, even seeing her point of view on some of the Euro games. And, you see her play as well. It's just this
It's really great.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Great clips. That animation was made by this young 21-year-old over here who does some really neat little animations. But yeah, oh my God, the goal, the Schick goal.
Patrick
Schick. Did you even think that made any sense to shoot from there?
No, you've seen it a few times. It's one of those goals that's once in a blue moon. But the fact it sort of curled round, so it wasn't a straight kick.
Right.
Yeah, it had that curl. I think it's definitely goal of the tournament for sure. And it was just funny because it was against Scotland, and the keeper was running back towards his goal. Stay in the game. I don't know why the keeper needs to be so far to concede twice. You're not going to get back in the game at that point of the tournament. So yeah, it's quite funny to see. But I mean, fair play to Schick, and he's obviously had a fantastic tournament because he's actually got 3 goals as well, and he's joined top goal scorer Ronaldo and Wijnaldum. So yeah, maybe he might be looking for a summer move somewhere. He could be in the Premier League, maybe next season. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that. And you can just see there, top goal scorers: Ronaldo, Wijnaldum, and Patrick Schick with top assists as well. There's a few players there I've not actually heard of. I believe there was a Switzerland player with 3 assists, and he actually got all those in one game, where Switzerland got 3. Previously, I mean, there was one with Shaqiri, got 2 goals. He's obviously had a really fantastic game there. But moving on to our next segment, and we have matchup.
Hold on a second. That the goals in that one, right? Like, I'm amazed you chose that goal because the other one because the other one had Xhaka make an amazing pass across to Shaqiri and he finished off. And I was like, the Arsenal fan in you had to pick that one. Surely. Watching Xhaka do some cool things. That's going to be high up on that list, right?
He's going to Roma. We can forget about him now. If he's not doing that in an Arsenal shirt, I don't want to see it.
Fair enough. Yeah, you can move on to your next segment.
Matchup. So as you can see, we're going into matchup now, where we talk about 2 upcoming games that we thought would be pretty good to talk about. And first off, we have Sweden versus Poland, which is to be played on Wednesday the 23rd. Sweden are currently sitting top of the table with 4 points. Slovakia on 3 points, Spain on 2, and Poland on 1. So we're currently, at the moment, where any team can go through. So I think it's probably one of the better groups at the moment. Sweden, you probably didn't really expect how the teams have lined up there in the table. You normally would expect Spain to be out on top. What have you made of Sweden, though? Because they've not scored a massive amount of goals, yet they've been consistent.
Actually, they've been defensively solid for a while now. If you think about it, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise that they are topping that table. They topped the table in their 2018 World Cup group as well, which involved Germany. In fact, Germany was the only team that they lost against in that qualifying group. They beat They beat South Korea, they beat Mexico, and they beat Switzerland in the round of 16 before losing to England 2-0. So they are a good team, and their style of football is perhaps why we don't really think of them as a good team. It's just this defensive style. They they don't really bring that much attacking, with attack. And you think of Zlatan Ibrahimovic when you think of their attack, and when he's not there, you kind of feel like it doesn't have a shine. But really, this year, right, they are a stronger team than you'd assume. They are unbeaten in 7 games in 2021. They've scored 11 times, conceded once. That was to Armenia in a friendly, which they won 3-1. And that was on the 6th of June, ahead of the Euros. And the qualifying that they have had has been pretty good too, because they had just 1 loss in their qualifying rounds from their 10 games, and that was a 3-0 loss at the Santiago Bernabeu. Now, that was 2 years ago when that was happening. So, they are actually a pretty decent team. But there's some cool Euro news. 20-year-old Mikkel Damsgaard. Why don't you read that out?
20-year-old Mikkel Damsgaard is the youngest scorer at Euro 2020. He scored the first goal for Denmark today. Wow. 20 years old. That is something. Mikkel
your
Damsgaard. Remember the name.
Yeah.
I play a lot of FIFA, so you hear all these players all the time from the commentator. You just sort of pick it up.
We end up muting it, and then we end up commentating over it ourselves. So there's just my own pronunciations of every name. So Sweden, coming back to them, they're actually a good team, right? I just feel like they against Poland as well, because Poland haven't really been that good. In this year, they've won just 1 game. I think that was a 3-0 win against Andorra. So in the last 8 months, they've had 4 losses, 4 draws, and that win against Andorra. That's it. Yeah,
they're struggling, aren't they? Because you got Lewandowski up front, and that's sort of their massive standout player. You got Szczesny in goal, but they don't really seem to bring many young players through anymore, do they? I feel like their academy is sort of struggling. Football's not massive in Poland. You got Liga Warsaw, but you don't really have many players being picked up from Poland. Not to say there's no good players in Poland, of course. I'm sure there's lots of talent there, but I just don't feel like scouts actually go to Poland much to watch games be played. It's a weird one with Poland. But then, like with Portugal, we mentioned earlier, when you got Lewandowski up front and then there's Ronaldo up front, you just always got a chance. He was so clinical. He broke the Bundesliga record with 41 goals, beating Gerd Müller. So, I think Poland fans, we look to that to think they've got a chance to be able to grab on to a place to progress to the latter stage of the tournament. Just touching on Sweden as well, they have that Alexander Isak up front. Quite a young striker. I think he's at Real Sociedad, I believe, and I think he got about 17 goals in La Liga. He actually originally was from Dortmund. He sort of come through quite a young age, as you see a lot of players at Dortmund do, and he's actually progressed on really well. And he's quite a tall player, so he's sort of like an Ibrahimovic type player. Probably more Ibra back in his prime when he had a bit more pace. Quite slow now, but I feel like going into the tournament, he probably would have thought he probably wasn't going to be playing as much, because you'd probably expect Ibrahimovic to be starting. But with him picking up that injury, I think he's slotted in there pretty well, and he just functions well in the unit with Forsberg in behind him. Yeah. And he seems to be a team player, and he works really hard.
He's physical presence as well. He's quite strong in the box, and it's not easy to bring him down. I think there was was it the first game where he could have gone down because he had his shirt tucked, and he just shrugged it off and took a shot and missed. And you fair play to him to hold the defender off, and it didn't look like he was anywhere close to going down. The defender had nothing on him.
Yeah, you see that with a lot of young players coming through. Sometimes they're quite weak on the ball, trying to hold off players and that.
Yeah.
But when you see a young player like that, sort of holding players and sort of shrugging them off, you sort of just see the confidence come through. And there's all those that adding experience that you'd normally come to see of a bit more slightly older play, maybe 24, 25. I don't think he got any goals in the tournament though, has he so far, or has he got one? I don't think he's got any goals.
No, I mean,
top of my head, I don't think he has.
Sweden's got only one goal, and that was at Forsberg, 77th minute penalty, I think, against who were they playing?
I think they were playing Slovakia.
That is Slovakia. Yes, the 1-0 win against Slovakia, because they drew against Spain 0-0. I mean, it's just one of those. They are to reach the knockout stages. Austria become the 25th different team to reach the knockout stages. Have they never reached the knockout stages of a European Championship before?
No, I tell you what, they've actually failed to qualify. I think they failed to qualify for 3 decades. I believe it was 3 decades in a major tournament. If the top of my head, it was a stat I read out last week, and it was I was quite surprised. I don't know many of their players. I know they have David Alaba who by Munich. I think he's just moved on a free, I think, to Real Madrid. But they don't have a massively, talented team. So
David Alaba was high up on the assists as well. He'd got 2 assists. Yeah. That was quite interesting to see. He's just moved to Real Madrid as well. Quite an asset for them.
Yeah, he plays multiple positions, doesn't he? He's so handy. I think he's been playing left midfield for Austria. You can play left back, you can play centre back. I think he can play in midfield. So versatile. And just a bundle of experience there for him. It would be nice to see whereabouts he fits in at Real Madrid. But clearly he's doing really well for Austria. Just to mention as well that Sweden have had 60 attacks all tournament compared to Poland's 89. So, you get a rough idea of the style of football they play. They're not massively on the ball. They've only had an attempt of 617 passes with completion of 470. And then just compared to Poland, as we mentioned, doesn't have a massive amount of players. They've attempted 790 with a completion of 622. So, you sort of get a rough idea that you're going to expect probably Poland to be on the ball a bit more than Sweden. But Poland obviously struggled to get goals because they don't really have much of a supply to Lewandowski. So, even though Poland's probably going to have more possession, I do fancy Sweden to push on and probably progress in this round.
It's really interesting because neither of those two teams are really going to be the main attack team, but Poland showed a little more verve against Spain, and that was interesting. Seeing that Lewandowski goal, against Spain, you kind of feel like they might have it in them to breach that Swedish defense, but I still favor the Swedes. I've just spent a while researching just how good they've been all year and how Poland really haven't had that same form. I'm not going to go against that.
And just to touch on Spain, of course, do you feel like they'll be able to get a win in their game against Slovakia and probably grab second or maybe first place as well, depending on the Sweden score?
They should be able to win, but they just lack that quality. And I have a clip of Morata scoring a goal. Because I've brought this up myself, so I'm going to show you Morata scoring a goal. 1 second.
Here it comes.
So there you go. That's a clip of.
Yeah, I just saw that then.
Yeah,
I saw it play. Yeah.
So the only way that Morata scores a goal is on an empty net. That's
on a training ground.
On a training ground. And if he can replicate that in a game, even against an empty net, there's a possibility that Spain could. He's going to get a goal sometime or the other.
No, he did score, didn't he? I think it was pre-release. He said though that he was lacking confidence and the fans getting on him didn't help. Obviously, for a striker, as soon as you stop scoring goals, you sort all your confidence is gone, and you just can't ever find the net. You sort of get one of them lucky goals.
You wonder this about Spain, right? You see this about Real Madrid. You see this with Barcelona. The way that the football fans approach their own players is so different from the way that the English fans approach their players. it's almost weird the amount of hate a person can get, even if they've done well otherwise and are just going through a bad patch. I know that the English fans really get behind on the backs of the English players as well, so it's not that. But at least at club football level, they're almost kind of like, if you're a club person, they'd kind of hold you closer, their hearts, and it lasts for a while.
Yeah, and we remember when we saw Morata at Chelsea. He's he's sort of an all-round player. He's got height, he's got pace, and he's got quite a good dribbling technique. But yeah, he does well at Juventus.
Curse. It's the Chelsea striker curse. They buy an expensive striker, it just doesn't work.
You had Torres as well, didn't you? Another Spanish striker that couldn't quite make it. Did well at Liverpool, but
Werner isn't doing much better, is he? He's just suddenly forgotten how to play football once he's gone to Stamford Bridge, and I'm not complaining.
It's funny to see.
I'm not complaining right now. Tracy is going to be mad at this. I mean, they're Champions League champions, right? They're the champions of Europe.
Exactly. So I can't really laugh at them. We won it twice and we won it none. So fair play to them.
Yeah.
Just also to mention on that Spain team, they sort of, I think their midfield's looking pretty nice now. But their attack, they just don't seem to develop many. You got Gerard Moreno, but I don't see much about him. That even though he got like 28 goals or something in the La Liga, I watched him against Arsenal, I watched him against Man United, I've watched him again the other night, and he just doesn't quite seem to be he's sort of a technically good player, but he just doesn't really seem to have the pace on the right hand side. And I feel like Spain lack quite a bit of pace up front, especially from the wide. They used to have like Pedro. I remember the days where David Villa played up front. I can't feel.
They just lack that bit of quality, right? That'll make something happen. I think Moreno is a fair shout because he knows how to find the back of the net, and that's important at a time like this. Eventually, like what really was Müller great at, he knew how to score, right? And he knew how to make the team score around him. And I remember this interesting bit where FIFA was trying to rate Thomas Müller, and they realized that if they rated each attribute, they weren't really getting him the elite status that he deserved. So they tweaked the rating with adding a bit of an X factor because they were like, okay, this guy is still really good. And it's just that. It's that little bit of an intangible, and Moreno might be able to produce that. And he's shown that over the La Liga season. He has a fair level of confidence. Oyarzabal could be another really standout player. He's looking promising, and maybe just a few more minutes. I think they have it in them to progress, but definitely not win this competition. It's not that Spain.
No, they just need to find a striker from somewhere. They need someone coming through the ranks to, they did have Diego Costa, but obviously he's started getting a bit on now. I can't actually think of any at the top of my head. But we've got some more Euro news here. Southgate says there's quite a doubt about whether Mount and Chilwell will play against the Czech on Tuesday. Both players are isolated after they had close contact with Billy Gilmore. I think Mason Mount could be quite a miss for England, but then again, you've got Grealish and you've got quite a few attacking options who can sort of play in a similar position. Chilwell's not featured yet. Text message just come through. It's really loud. That's really ping. God, that surprised me.
Fair enough.
So
I mean, I don't know if that's exactly England's biggest problem. Is not really that position. I mean, full credit to the players who are playing there right now, but I think it's more finding what they're doing with Harry Kane. That's just given that Man City have reportedly made $100 million offer for Harry Kane. You kind of wonder whether he's capable of playing in that position and in that sort of a setup where he's not really the main man, but he's part of a functional unit. It works at Spurs because he is the guy there, and then others just make a game around him. We heard Guillaume say that in Coffee with Guillaume, so I'm perhaps just parroting what he said. But whereas Harry Kane kind of in this setup, I don't know whether he really works with that whole lineup. He does need to figure out how he does, and maybe it's just focusing on scoring a goal, focusing on one aspect of it. Yeah, they need a solution.
Yeah, I think Gareth just needs to focus on building a team around Kane, because Kane's the player that's going to probably win you the tournament if he can get his goals coming in. And, you see him at Tottenham dropping deep. And, he still gets goals, but then he just gets so many assists. Yeah. But, Sterling's not quite a player that's going to come inside. He's sort of out on the left-hand side. Mount likes to run in behind a bit, so maybe he would be a good option to sort of have a Kane come deep. Grealish, again, another player likes to come on the ball. Sancho, I'm not too sure on how he plays. I know he's got a load of goals and assists, but I haven't watched a lot of him this season, so I'm a bit unsure about that. It's maybe another option for him. And you got Bukayo Saka as well, a young player from Arsenal. He's yet to feature, and he can play him in a wide variety of places, and he runs in behind really well, and he's also a really good ball carrier. So yeah, it's just trying to find that right balance, and I think that's probably something Gareth should have done, in the games prior to the tournament, trying to find a solution for Kane to play well in. Because I watched him in the World Cup a few years back, and even though I think he got like 5 goals, yet most of them were from penalties, so they didn't really have him firing on all cylinders. Then you had Dele Alli and Jesse Lingard behind him then, and there were players that would run on. Ali likes to make late runs into like back post and that, but yeah, it's just one of those things, really. I think a goal would come. That's why I'd keep playing him. We spoke about earlier. I wouldn't drop him.
What you really needed was Jesse Lingard. I know I'm joking a bit about it there, but he's had a phenomenal season, which was such a surprise.
Yeah.
To, us who've been Man United fans for a while and watching him come through the ranks, and then he has this absolutely stunning season. And now you're just like, well, he could have been in that English lineup.
Yeah, so is Willock, weren't he? He scored like 7 goals back to back. And exactly that stage where you got so many options, and even Lingard played, didn't he? He played in one of the friendlies before the actual tournament, even though he wasn't getting brought. So that was a strange decision by him. But you got so many options in that attacking midfield option that England never had before. So very nice to see. It's just see if we can keep these sort of set of players, unlike last World Cup, and then see if we can sort of keep using these players for major tournaments, and hopefully they can sort of build a bond. Really
exactly.
Good.
That's the thing with they go away to their clubs and play that style of football, and that gets really ingrained into them. So Sterling and Foden are playing on one level of football. Rashford's playing maybe at similar levels as Greenwood, because he's more used to that. Maybe Maguire as well, and you suddenly have Harry Kane, who's just kind of stuck out there in the middle. That's perhaps one of the problems, and just them playing together a bit more, finding the right things. That could happen in the next game, they find a formula on it. That's just going to build on.
Yeah, well, we've seen that previously as well. Yeah. Once they hit their rhythm, you've got the structure of the team, the spine looking pretty solid. Yeah. If you keep with Rice and Phillips, that is, or maybe you'll change it up. But as long as you can get that attack working, we'll start scoring quite a few goals, I'd like to think. But let's move on to our next matchup, though, and that is Portugal versus France, which will be on the Wednesday, the 23rd, the same day as Sweden versus Poland. So, good few games on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then we have France.
Sorry, Lukaku's scored, I think. Belgium have gone ahead.
For Belgium.
Yeah, I think Belgium are 1-0 up. Right. No, go ahead. Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
That's all right. No, we want live updates. I was just going to check on the other games as well. So you got Belgium 1-0 up. Like you said, Lukaku scored, and then Denmark have got a second goal now with Yusuf Poulsen scoring in back-to-back games for Denmark as well. And that's obviously a really crucial win for Denmark if they can see that out.
Yeah.
So they'll be hoping to get on that second spot. Yes, as it stands, Denmark are through. So I'm pretty sure, they're doing that for Eriksen, which is really cool. It's nice to see Denmark get through after the start they had. It was really good. Looking
just come together. Yeah.
Looking ahead for France, though, obviously you got France on 4 points, Germany on 3 points, Portugal on 3 points, and obviously Hungary on the 1. Yeah, this is probably one of the best groups out there. It's the group of death. But only apart from Germany got the 4 goals, and even they lost to France. No one's really been consistent. What have you made of France? Obviously, they drew with Hungary. France have probably got one of the best attacks, probably one of the most expensive attacks out there, and they can't quite function. Similar to England's lineup.
I think there's this. One of the things about France is that team just clicks together really well with that midfield, and that forms the core of that attack, right? And then you have Mbappe and you have Griezmann who can really make things happen up front. But when it just doesn't come together, it looks weird. When Pogba is having a bad day, you see him at Man United and you can isolate Pogba having a bad day and you see that. Kante doesn't really have bad days. Kante just is Kante. No. Yeah, so that's, that you've got that covered. So you tend not to lose when you're France and you have that. Aside from that Hungary 1-1 draw. I mean, even then, that was a draw, remember. They might have shot them in the foot there, but they didn't lose. It's a strong team. They haven't lost to Portugal. Apart from that one loss, they haven't lost to Portugal in something like last 40 years or last 35 years or something like that, apart from that one game. Yeah. And that goal scored by Eder was probably Eder's only goal he ever scored for Portugal. Right? So that's a series of circumstances coming together. And he played French second division or French football or something in some French club. So there was all of that coming together on that one day when Cristiano Ronaldo had to limp off. And that's when Portugal won. So the record would suggest that France should win. But France somehow in these big tournaments, sometimes they just make life hard for themselves. I remember them coming into the 2002 World Cup as champions, for Euros and of the World Cup. And they lost to Senegal on the first day. And it's just that they just make it hard. They went out in the first round, and that was a great team. That was a really good team that had, Zidane at his prime. It's just that every now and then they just have a complete, maybe they just go in a little overconfident because like you have that, it's coming home. It's what happens in France is I think there is a little bit of a feeling like, okay, you know what? Let's see who we are going to get in the semis. It's far ahead.
Yeah, they've got this confidence, haven't they?
Yeah, in this group, you're just one. It's a knockout now against Portugal, and you don't want to go into a game against Cristiano Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes and that team, and they could just click one day, and that's it. It's over for you, and that's not what you want to build your 2 years on.
Yeah, it's hard to criticise France really because obviously they've, not have their bad game yet they're world champions.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might think, there's too many big egos in the side. You got Mbappe, you got Griezmann, but then we have seen them, gel really well, and we've seen Pogba probably be more consistent for France than he would be for United. I don't know if that's because Kante's there, who's obviously sort of 2 players in one. He's sort of all over, gives Pogba sort of that freedom. And as assist, I think it was the game where France versus Germany, where Hummels got the own goal, and there was the Pogba ball, and it was just one of them lofted balls over to the back post where you couldn't really see the runner at the time. You just thought it was a wayward cross, and I think it was Goossens ran onto it and obviously hit it back, and obviously Hummels couldn't clear it. But you don't always see that at Man United. But in the France team, you can see Pogba do that, and when Pogba can do that, they can do some pretty magical stuff.
Actually, you kind of do see him do those at Man United as well. Like it's that little. He knows how to do it, and he does pull that out. It's just that the end product at the end of that is going to be Mbappe making that run as opposed to Greenwood. And Greenwood's good, but he's no Mbappe, right? And then on the other hand, you have Griezmann making those little darting runs in and out. You have Kante to sweep up behind him. At Man United, I think one of his bigger problems is that he gets caught with the ball at his feet really often, and that's right in the middle of midfield. And you don't have a good enough central defensive midfielder to be able to sweep that up. Whereas here, when you know that, okay, Kante is behind you, he can just really express himself. He can play that ball and it may not work twice, and then it works a third time, and that's genius, and they'll score a goal from it. Whereas that doesn't always quite happen when he's at Man United.
I think that's what we saw.
Yeah.
I think we saw the Pogba as well at Juventus when he was playing with so many great players around him. Yeah. And that was the seasons he was flourishing. He was getting 10 plus goals a season. And he ain't quite got the squad there yet. But if they build around him, I feel like they could have that squad for him to flourish.
I actually watched him play first when I used to live in Manchester in 2012 for a year.
Oh, yeah.
And, the Premier League games were really expensive tickets, so you can't go and watch that every week. Oh, okay.
Lukaku goal ruled offside by VAR. That was quite a late decision.
Oh, that is...
Jeez. That's pretty much level, isn't it? That's the closest one I've seen all tournament. Just trying to look, it took a good few minutes to be able to find that, obviously, because they had the lines out and everything you'd have thought there.
Oh, my God, yeah. Well,
that rule needs to be changed.
It's still nil there, though. Well, either way. So Pogba, I'd first seen him play. So I used to go and watch the youth games for Man United. Yeah. Because I wanted to go and watch it at Old Trafford. I had my student pass that was still there. So, I'd kind of sneak in for £2.50 instead of £4. Every bit of saving that you could do. And I remember going in there and watching all these youth games. And that was a year where there was Rashford, there was Pogba playing there. That was a year right before Pogba, left. And I kind of felt like he was special. It looked like it. He could make those long-range passes. He could really move it around. You couldn't really tell much about his temperament just by watching him play. But he looked like he would be a huge player. And then, of course, he's gone out. He's gone to Juve. He's come back to Man United. I kind of feel like somewhere he's caught up in being Paul Pogba instead of just trying to be the player that maybe the team needs. You watch that determination, right? That pulls other players up and demands more of them. You see Bruno Fernandes do that. You see Michael Jordan talks about it in the last chance. It's just pulling people up around you and making them into champions. Roy Keane did that, and people like that. And Pogba doesn't have it. And you have people who don't. Eden Hazard just doesn't have it. He doesn't even have the determination and hard work to be a world champion. He may well be a world champion. And he's brilliant. He's really good. But he's spoken about his lack of dedication to training and things like that just because he wants to have a good time on the field. Ronaldinho was perhaps the last guy who was really world's best while being that flippant. But ever since, you need, when you have someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, and I think someone has scored now. I'm going to wait for VAR to call anything. But when you have like Cristiano Ronaldo, Leo Messi, and then the athletes of today, Mbappe, Haaland, I don't think you can just get away with the kind of lifestyle that, Eden Hazard, Neymar have.
Yeah, like you said, Roy Keane's actually touched on that. Roy Keane touched on that before. I remember a story. And it was actually one part of the Euro episodes he did with Michael Richards, and he was saying that I think it was like 3 hours before a game he went and had a kebab, and then he went and played Crystal Palace, I think, in the cup. And you just can't get away with that now because you see the players around probably won't be eating that sort of thing, and just be so much lighter on their feet. And it's just how advanced the training and the way you have to eat and your lifestyle and everything involved in being a performance. I think Ronaldo is probably the best role model to look at.
Sorry.
Go on.
So in fact, like what you speak about is really interesting. I was listening to Karl Anka, the athletic journalist. He was on a podcast the other day, and he was talking about how player health has become such an important thing. I can't remember who it was, but Salomon Kalou used to have molar that was bothering him. No, that was Floro Maluda who had a molar that was bothering him, and he couldn't really, play proper football. He was struggling because he was getting all the, muscle injuries and all of that season for Chelsea. And I forget who the manager was, and he looked at him laughing one day in the team bus and went like, "You need to go to the dentist." He went to the dentist, got that sorted out, and then he just had one of the best seasons he had for Chelsea the next year because that was contributing to the muscle injuries. Just things like that can make such a difference. You see that with, someone like Luke Shaw. Mourinho just hadn't set up a thing where he cared about that. He was like, each player can go and take care of themselves. They're professionals. I'm just going to make sure that you play together, and that's my role here. Whereas with Solskjaer and even Sir Alex back then, it was about everything that you bring to the table. So, is that guy being looked after? Is Cavani happy, for instance, or is he stuck in lockdown in rainy Manchester? Has someone got a house? All of those things are relevant in football now. Really, really important.
Yeah, and a lot of players don't know they have their own personal chefs now. And it's not to be like fancy and posh because, they can afford it. It's just so they're eating might because of that a bit, but because
that's what it was about Luke Shaw. That's what it was about Luke Shaw. It was the eating habits.
Yeah, because I remember a little story. I think in one of the interviews he did where he's like he's quite a big lad and he compared himself to Wayne Rooney. Because he's not the slowest. He's quite quick on his feet. To be fair to him, but he's just bigger built.
Rooney was faster than you think. Like,
the
number of times I saw him just like run past people. Yeah, fair play in his prime. I mean, right now he'd be a good midfielder. He'd be fun to watch.
He dropped into midfield, I think, for Derby. But I was going to say, I remember he used to be quite athletic as well. Where he did the overhead kick versus Man City. He could get up there.
He's done some cool things, like even running past some quick defenders just by like a quick turn of pace and dropping a shoulder and moving ahead. Mate, he was deceptively quick. I'm saying that as though I ever defended against him. Like I played 30 times against Wayne Rooney. Oh my God, he was deceptively quick. Yeah. No.
Well, he got so many records, isn't he? Especially he got the England record goals. He used to score goals a lot. He's not always the most highly rated player, but when you look back, he's sort of, he done it all really. Unfortunately, he couldn't win anything with England. Probably in their golden age, as you'd call it, of Gerrard, Lampard.
Nobody has won anything for England since 1966.
Yeah.
You have to go into the English women's cricket team, the rugby team, the English men's team have now won. Football's in the back.
No promising looking England sides, and no, they're not. But I mean, we've sort of come off topic with Portugal and France.
We need to get back to that. Yeah. Sorry about that.
I think I'm just going to predict. I've got a few stats here that just sort of the teams look so even on paper. 20 attempts on goal for France. Portugal have had 19. 87.5% pass accuracy for Portugal versus 87% for France. Wow. France have had 26 tackles versus Portugal's 23 tackles. And the only thing that separates them is 5 goals for Portugal and 2 goals for France. Even though Portugal is a side that doesn't have a lot of possession, I think France will probably have taken possession. On paper, it probably looks more Portugal's game to win, but you just can't call what France are going to turn up on a day. So I think I'm going to go over France win. I just think third game of the tournament, I feel like they really want to kick on now if they want to push on and win the tournament.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I want Portugal to win because Cristiano and my whole mind. But I kind of feel like France is going to win this. I can't quite see Portugal recovering after that loss as well. Like, I think there's just going to be a few demons.
Yeah, I think maybe Jota's goal sort of brought it back a bit because it was when he got the second Portugal's second goal. They did look a bit more of a threat again. And they've got Ruben Diaz at the back. They've got Pepe at the back, experienced leaders. That would just be able to hopefully just guide their team back a bit because there was 2 own goals that were quite unlucky. But then,
Pepe versus Mbappe, who do you back?
Well, yeah, I'm Mbappe, but
I'd be a bit worried. But on the other hand, if it's Cristiano versus Varane or even getting past Kante, I kind of feel like that's more sturdy.
Maybe Portugal will look at how Hungary done it though, and they'll compare. If we sit back, maybe France are a team that can't break down. A flat back 4 or 5, whatever Portugal wants to go for on the day. It'll be a really great game to watch. I think that'll be. And who knows? It could be the game we see in the final as well. We don't know.
Yeah, it was was the last final. It was the last Euros final. I was in France actually watching that in
Really?
Paris. Yeah, we had a
Very nice.
super weird experience of finding a person who was probably like passed out in the metro on the way to the Tour Eiffel while trying to watch it. But yeah, leaving all that aside, we watched it in the university accommodations where the Portuguese people were. Where the French people were. And I was the only one, I think, me and there was another guy who was supporting Portugal. And I think we were really outnumbered that day.
I'm guessing France were pretty confident going into that tournament. They didn't have Mbappe back then, did they, though? Because he'd have been about...
he was more
16, 17,
the World
I think
Cup.
he would have been.
Yeah, he was more the World Cup.
But, I mean, if they got Giroud, he's nearly their top goal scorer. And then he's not even getting played.
Greatest goal scorer in the history of goal scoring. Like, you watch his best goals compilation, it's better than anyone ever.
He's the player that needed to be against Hungary. He's like, that's perfect. Sitting deep, he doesn't have to run. Just put him on the end of a cross, and he'll get you goals consistently.
He would have scored a scorpion kick goal for sure. At least one in every tournament. That makes all the difference, and that's how it always ends for him.
Let's move on now though to the stats tables and leaderboards.
All right.
I think we have a graphic that comes up any second. There it is. So we've got some of the goal scorers here. We did see earlier, so you've got Cristiano Ronaldo on 3, Wijnaldum on 3 from midfield, and he's just got his move to is it PSG he went to in the end, I think. They just hijacked Barcelona's deal. Patrick Schick on 3 as well. So they've obviously had a good start to their campaign. And it'd be interesting. I don't know. I do fancy Ronaldo getting a few more, so I do feel he'll comfortably sit in there. But I mean, imagine Wijnaldum, at the age he is, Liverpool just let him go on a free, and he could get the golden boot in the Euros.
Wouldn't that be great? Netherlands wins, he gets a golden boot. Yeah, that would be legendary.
And you got that Steven Zuber, who's got 3 assists for Switzerland. David Alaba, as we mentioned before, on 2, and so is Donyell Malen for Netherlands. And I believe Donyell Malen's a striker as well. He used to be from Arsenal's academy. Let him go a good few years ago. Very pacey striker. And I must say, he's one of the most OP players on FIFA. So if you ever play FIFA, use Donyell Malen. He's just unstoppable.
Good bit of advice. Now I know who to bring on next time I'm playing for Netherlands.
he does so consistently when he's so much pace. Moving into some of the tables we hear now. Obviously, I think these may be slightly different. Obviously, just because of some of the results that happened throughout the episode. Group A, which is finished, we have Italy on 9, Wales on 4, Switzerland on 4, and Turkey on 0 points. Belgium on Group B, currently sitting with 6 points. That could be up to 9 with a Marlon scoring for Belgium, so they could be sitting on 9 by the end of the night. Russia on they're 2-0 up now. 2-0 up now.
Yeah.
So it looks like they'll be probably clinching 9 points, maxing out their points there. Russia on 3, Finland on 3, and of course Denmark were 2-0 up, so it looks like they could be sitting on 3 points as well now. So as it stands, obviously Denmark will be going through as well. So I think that's definitely one of the unlikely, but one of the probably the best groups to watch because you just didn't know who were going to go through at one stage. Group C, which is done, we have Netherlands on 9 points, Austria on 6, Ukraine on 3, and North Macedonia on none. I think Ukraine were quite unlucky because they gave Netherlands a good game. I think it was the 3-2. And they obviously won their last game as well. But credit to Austria. We obviously saw the record that they're finally through into the round of 16 for the first time, and maybe they could be one of the underdogs that go through, similar to what Sweden were in the World Cup when they reached the quarterfinals.
I insist Sweden are not an underdog. I'm so offended by that. No, I'm kidding.
Sweden.
No, but they're good. They're playing well. They're playing good football. They're hard to break down. You're not going to be able to score easy goals. Just because England scored 2 against them doesn't mean they're an underdog. You can beat good teams. You can actually beat good teams, believe it or not.
They remind me of West Ham. They don't have massive players, but they just.
Are you saying West Ham is not a good team? They
Maybe
finished above Arsenal this season. They finished above Arsenal this season.
Yeah, wait till they win a tournament or something. Hope there's no West Ham fans watching.
But now there are.
I don't think there's any in the club. Right? We just lost views. Anyway, moving on to Group D, we have Czech Republic on 4, England on 4, Croatia on 1, and Scotland on 1. So Scotland still have a chance of going through there. They will obviously need to pick up, they need to pick up probably 3 points against Croatia, really, unless goal difference could play a part in that. England against Czech Republic as well. Hopefully England will be able to finish top, and it will just give them a better chance going into the last 16 playing a second-place team. And then moving into Group E, we have Sweden on 4, Slovakia on 3, Spain on 2, and Poland on 1, which we touched on this earlier on. And then also we touched on Group F, where France are leading with 4 points, Germany on 3 points, Portugal on 3 points, and Hungary on 1 point. So now we're going to go into the upcoming fixtures. So these will be the third round of games, so it's the final amount of games throughout the week. And of course, it'll be the round of 16 starting before next week's podcast as well.
So do you want me to help you go through some of them?
If you start off with
I'll run through some. Yeah, all right. I'll start off with Group D because that's the game on the 22nd, which is 20 right now for me here in India.
Today's game for you.
Today's game. So there's Croatia versus Scotland, which is happening at the same time as Czech Republic versus England. Any predictions, Josh? You have to go through predictions, otherwise this is absolutely pointless as an exercise. Tell me, what's going to happen? Croatia versus Scotland. We're going to run through these.
Croatia, Scotland. I'm going to say 2-0 Croatia. I think Scotland will play quite attacky compared to what they did against England, because they need to get the 3 points. I feel Croatia with Perisic on the left-hand side, I think he will probably score. And I think Croatia do have a really good midfield. They got Modric, they got Brozovic, they got Kovacic. They're pretty good players in midfield, and I don't think Scotland, without Billy Gilmour as well, who played really well against England, I don't think he's going to be able to. I don't think Scotland will be able to keep up with Croatia. So I'm going 2-0 Croatia, and then with Czech Republic versus England, I'm going to go with a 1-0 England. I'm going to say. I was just thinking because they've got like.
I was like, wait, are you going to say England's going to lose this game? With a 2-0 win for Croatia, and if England lose by 2-0, they won't finish in the top 2. You do not want that to happen. You can't be predicting England going up. That's going to be the title. No, okay, you've got it.
I was just thinking because Patrick Sheet's got 3 goals, so he's got a bit of confidence. But then we haven't conceded, so it could go either way on that one. But I'm feeling confident that Southgate will pull this one out. But not many goals. It won't be an impressive performance, but it'll be a 1-0. And it'll just be like a 1-0 to the England. It's coming home again. We'll be singing. Put it that way.
JRL is predicting a mob like a dull win. Like this is really English optimism. That is for where you kind of like. I'm not sure. I can't really predict a great thing, but at the same time, I'm silently optimistic. I love that.
It won't be a game to watch, but it'll be, if we can go 1-0 throughout the whole tournament and win it, I'll be happy.
Fair enough. I'm going with 1-0 for Scotland. McTominay is going to score a wonder goal from outside the box. And I think it's going to be Czech Republic 1, England 2. I think Marcus Rashford is going to score 1, and Harry Kane is finally going to he's finally going to get a shot on target and then score. And I think Czech Republic, I just kind of feel like Sheik might just go 1 more. He's just on that streak.
Yeah, but that sounds perfect. Moving on to Group E, we have on Wednesday, the 23rd of June at 5 p.m. So day after. So it'll be 2 days from me, 1 day from you. We have Slovakia versus Spain and Sweden versus Poland. So Slovakia versus Spain. Your predictions?
It's going to be 1-1. I have no clue
1-1.
who's going to score for Slovakia, but for Spain, it will be Morata, who scores an amazing goal, dribbling past 4 people, dribbling past the goalkeeper, scores it, almost misses it. It hits the ball, it hits the bar and gets in. Yeah, that's what's going to happen in that game. I'm certain.
Sweden versus Poland.
Yeah, Sweden 1-0, obviously. I mean, Sweden's going to win the tournament.
Yeah, I think that's I'm going Sweden 1-0 versus Poland, and Slovakia Spain. I think Spain will probably kick on in this game 2-0. I think that Llorente will score, and I think Moreno will score. I feel Spain will kick on. I think Slovakia. I don't massively know their players. I think they used to have that Hamzik from Napoli. I can't name many off the top of my head from Slovakia, but fair play to them. You know, they're in for a chance. So, moving on to
they're
Group
not on
F.
FIFA. That's why we don't know the players, because they're not on FIFA. So when we were playing Slovakia, we had to play with Slovenia. So when Slovakia's game came up, I mean, Ari was playing with me that game of FIFA, and when actually Slovakia was playing, he was like, "Wait, who are these players? I thought they were these guys on," and they were like, "No." That's just because we keep tempting them across on FIFA. Yeah. Okay, I'll take you through Group F. It's on the same day as Group E's matches, but it's later on ones. So that's the 8 p.m. kickoffs. That's Germany versus Hungary and Portugal versus France. Right. So Germany versus Hungary.
Yeah, I don't think Hungary will be able to put up the same performance they did against France, and I feel Germany will take the confidence in from France's against Portugal's game, and I feel like it'll be a 4-0 for Germany. I feel it'll be quite dominant, and I think we'll start looking at them as one of the favourites to go on to win it from there. Portugal, France, I am going to say, I think that's going to be a 1-1. I don't think that's going to be a massive game, just because on paper it was quite even. I feel like Ronaldo will get another goal for Portugal. France, I feel like, it'll either be Benzema playing or it'll be Giroud, and either one of those, I feel better the one who will score. I mean, I think they played Benzema on the right-hand side when the first France game they played, and I didn't understand that at all. But Benzema's got a great first touch too. If for a striker, he's
so good.
He's
incredible. Yeah,
and I feel like if you stick him up front, he'll get a goal.
Yeah. I'm going with 3-0 to Germany. I think I still see Germany as being really, really tough to beat. And I think it's going to be 1-1 as well. I can't be piggybacking off exactly your prediction. So let's go with something a little more ludicrous. Let's go with 2-2. Kante is going to score 2 goals, because the last time that these two teams played, right, that was in the Nations League, and they had 2 fixtures. One ended 0-0, the other one ended 1-0 to France, and the goal scorer was N'Golo Kante. Of course, it was N'Golo Kante. So he's going to score 2 this time, and I think Cristiano is going to score 1, and Diego Jota is going to score 1.
Sounds good, yeah. I can see that quite easily happening.
Oh, we have the round of 16s one as well. Yeah, go for that.
I just lost where we are. Here we are. Yeah, so moving on to round of 16. So these are played down there. A couple of days later, on the Saturday the 26th, we have a little break from the football. The Saturday the 2016th at 5 p.m, we have Wales versus Group B second place team. So I feel second place team might be Denmark, or did Denmark clinch third spot? So obviously that's just been slightly updated, and quickly bring you that now.
Denmark qualifies after beating Russia as Finland loses to Belgium. There you go. Our producer Ari is on the ball. What a man. He even got his transfer news about Hakan Calhanoglu moving to Inter for a medical. Landing in Milan for a medical to move to Inter. Yeah, the kind of stuff just up there.
So did you say Denmark have finished in second then? Because obviously third place teams can possibly qualify as well. So it'll be Wales versus Denmark, and that could be really good. I do fancy I do fancy Wales. I feel like they're one of those underdog teams, like we've seen in previous tournaments. They Bale, Ramsey can sort of just pull it out of nowhere and start performing in how we know they can perform.
Wouldn't it be great if Wales make it through after that as well, and they have a good chance then against Denmark? That's as good a chance as ever.
Yeah, it'd be a really nice tie for them. And then also at 8 p.m. on the same day, so a few hours later, we have Italy versus Group C second place side, and Italy are probably looking the most dominant side in the tournament. They look pretty unstoppable at the moment, all the way from defence to attack. Even though I don't think they attack massively. They got Insigne, they got Ciro Immobile. Their right-hand side's a bit of a hit and miss. They got Berardi. I don't feel massively confident in him performing, but their midfield's just world-class and their defence is just full of experience. And we've seen the style that Mancini's brought to Italy. It's attractive football. They're full of energy. They look like a refreshed side. Previous years, Italy, they've not quite had the striker. They've not quite. I remember when Balotelli was like their number one option, and the fact that they weren't scoring massive amount of goals. So yeah, I feel like whoever Group C's second place side is, I feel like Italy. I think they're going to go quite through. I think Group C's side will be Austria as well. So.
Yeah, that is Austria. Italy has been incredibly impressive. I can't see them losing to any side right now. I mean, maybe to Germany, if Germany hit their stride full on. I think it's going to be Italy.
I was going to quickly, sorry to butt in, but I'm just going to quickly say Denmark have recorded their biggest win at European Championships for 37 years. That's a pretty brilliant stat.
That's incredible.
Yeah, for not a great start for Denmark, that's quite a cool stat for them to break in this tournament. So, fair play to them. And moving on to Sunday's games, which is the furthest we can go, of course.
All right. So there's Netherlands versus the third place in either Group D, E, or F. Right. So what are the options for that? Or we have no clue because those games haven't happened, of course. So we'll kind of know about that when the Group D, E, and F fixtures happen.
I think
so. That's the 5.
So let's say realistically, it could be Croatia, Scotland. Group E, it could be Poland, Spain, Slovakia, really, and then Group E. Well, is it Group F? Did you say? Sorry, I think that could be. Currently, that could be Portugal. So yeah, that could be quite tough if it happened to stay like that.
Portugal would be an incredible game.
Yeah, I mean, one big side would be being knocked out of that tournament. So
even Netherlands Spain would be an interesting game. Although it will be hard for them to finish a good third. Anyhow. At 8 p.m. on the same day, there's also the first place team in Group B. Didn't we already have the result of Group B? I think we did.
Yeah, so first team was that Belgium. Yep.
Belgium. So Belgium play against the third place team in either Group A, D, E, or F.
So again, we're not quite sure who that could be.
We know
Switzerland or Group A.
Exactly. So Switzerland are Group A.
And then we have
Group C. Look at us working this out on this. This is such an engaging live conversation. So
it's all happening live.
Yeah. Group D could be either between England or Croatia or Scotland or Czech Republic. It could be anyone. Well, I don't think they're going to finish third. I think they're going to finish in the top 2. So I guess Croatia, Scotland, most likely.
So yeah, we'll be able to bring you a bit more information on Monday. Next Monday's episode 4. Once everyone's played their third and final game,
Belgium's going to win whoever wins that. I mean, Belgium's going to win that game anyway. They're in great form.
It might not.
They're in great form. They're playing well. They won 2-0, 3-0 today. They've just been picking teams apart. I mean, they should have won last World Cup. They were a really strong side as well, I think. Yeah. They'd be a good shot.
My game to watch this week is Wales versus second placed Group B team, which we obviously found out was Denmark. So yeah, my game to watch is that, just because I feel like, Wales and Denmark on paper, obviously Denmark without Ericsson, I feel like that's quite an even matchup, Wales if Bale can perform to what we can see him perform, that's just a world-class player for Wales. And I feel like Wales are quite similar to England in a way, or maybe not England, sorry, Scotland. The fans are sort of their 12th man, and then I think Wales can just pull big results out of the bag. When the fans are back in the stadium behind the team, they can sort of just do the impossible, really. And I feel Wales could be one of those teams that could get. If they can get to the quarterfinals, which I think they could beat Denmark, you could see them in the semi-finals if they have an easy tie for them. Yeah. So, I'm going to favourite Wales in that game. And then my player to watch this week is Goossens for Germany against Portugal. He will be up against Semedo, who has struggled at right back, and we've seen him struggle for right back for Wolves as well. So he's not had the best of seasons. And Goossens has looked a real threat for Germany, getting down that left-hand side. I don't feel like he's going to have to be getting back as much defensively, because I think it'll be quite let loose. And I feel he'll give Portugal a torrid time. And I don't think that's the player they would have thought would be the player giving them problems, just because he's not one of the world's most known players up in Atlanta and Serie A. But yeah, that is my player to watch for that game.
Fair enough. I think Germany, though, is playing some other team. Isn't Germany playing Hungary? Germany is playing Hungary. So you mean Goossens against the Hungarian defense? Yeah, he was good against Semedo.
Yeah. My bad. I was on about the review.
Fair enough.
Because Goossens did give Semedo a horrid time.
Yeah, I know. I was
predicting that. Yeah.
No. I got what you meant. It's a long live. This has been on for almost 2 hours. Yeah. I'm going to quickly run through mine as well, rather than keep everyone on forever. My game to watch is Portugal versus France, because I'm going to be a boring person, even though I have a hipster Tibet football jersey on. Yeah, it's going to be Portugal versus France. It's a great game. And my player to watch is Rafael Varane. It's 8 years ago, I think Mourinho said that Varane was one of the world's best defenders, right? And he was really good against Germany as well right now. And it's kind of at that phase right now where, the whole thing happening with Real Madrid, where he's mostly very, very likely going to leave this summer. This game could well determine a lot of what happens next season for him. And that's interesting by itself. But at the same time, France, you talk about their flair, you talk about their attack, but that's only possible because of, we've spoken about Kante earlier, but that's also only possible because you have a defensive structure that doesn't leak goals, that, keeps it sturdy. Varane has obviously won 4 Champions League titles. He's won the World Cup, and he'll be looking to add to that with winning a Euro and becoming a really, really, he's done a full clean sweep of it. And I think in this Deschamps side, he's a really, really important player. He's going to be the player to watch for me.
Excellent stuff. So yeah, there are games to watch and players to watch. So if you are unsure on what games to choose, there's so many going on throughout the week, and especially as now there will be 2 games at the same time. You may need a bit of an idea of what ones to watch. So they are our games and players to watch. So now moving on to our final segment of the episode, and that is rapid fire. Yeah. A game I'm sure you're looking forward to see if you can beat Jack's score. So Jack is currently on 5 out of 6, with Mike getting 3 out of 6. So you'll be able to beat Mike, I reckon. So you know the rules.
Mike's got 3. This must be too tough for me as well. Go for it.
So you've got 60 seconds to answer 10 questions. Get as many as you're right. So as you. I need an updated picture there. As you can see here, we have the timer. I'm going to start the 1 minute. Tell me when you're ready.
Let's go. I'm going to do the answers really quickly. So
3, 2, 1, go. Who is Spain's current captain?
Oh, it's not Ramos. Gerard Moreno. it's not.
Wrong. Sergio Busquets.
Busquets
Which
is
player this
closer to
week broke the record for most European tournament goals?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Correct. Portugal scored 2 own goals against Germany. Name those 2 players.
Pass on that. No way. I'm really
Who was sent off for Wales versus Italy?
Pass on that. Go on.
Which team has the longest gap between winning 2 European titles?
Longest gap between winning 2 European titles. Portugal have never won it before. France. Germany. Italy.
Wrong. Spain. Name the 2 out of 3 teams who have hosted and won the Euros at the same time.
France. Can't be Germany. Can't be Italy. Can't be Portugal. No, Portugal did not host that one. No, France and wait, you have to bear with me on this.
Yeah,
Italy.
Correct. France nearly, and it could have been Spain as well. So the time is up. So I'm going to count.
Spain did it as well.
2. You got 2 right. Yeah,
I got 2
right.
Cristiano and this. Who was the best player, by the way?
Ethan Ampadu.
Ampadu got sent off.
Former Chelsea player. I think he's at Sheffield United now.
That is the worst results. I just froze under pressure. The Portuguese own goals as well. I was
Ruben Diaz and Guerrero of Dortmund.
Guerrero was the other one.
I'll tell you a question. I'll tell you a quick question that I did have on here that was quite tough. Yeah. Question number 7: which team has finished top 2 without ever winning the tournament? I didn't even know this team existed.
Hold on. Finished top 2 without ever winning the tournament. What do you mean finished top 2? So they reached the finals or top 2 in the...
So I think it meant which team has finished top 2, so they literally got to the final twice, I'm going to say, and never won it.
Netherlands. Have they won a Euro?
It was Yugoslavia.
Is that before... Are you too young to remember when Yugoslavia was a country on the map?
Probably, yeah. These are just facts.
Are we generationally different? Am I of the era where I had to learn in my Atlas books that Yugoslavia was a country, and you grew up going like, wait, no, it's Slovenia, it's Croatia, it's all of that, North Macedonia. I don't know. All of those countries came out of that.
The answer to the next one was Luxembourg as well. So I'm not too sure.
No way. Oh my God! Where are you getting these questions? How much of a football nerd do you think I am?
They're the last stage of the top 10, so we don't really get to that stage.
I thought I'd be good at this. I thought I'd be better, I thought I'd be better at this than that.
So good. It's under Mike. Mike keeps his position. So yeah, that's the end of the episode pretty much there. So I hope everyone enjoyed it. Of course, we've got a little graphic coming up here. Oh, we've also got the final score for Belgium, who won 2-0 against Finland. So as we previously stated, they also went through, and Denmark got 4 goals in the end versus Russia. So yeah, Denmark really ended up battering them, and obviously Russia are quite a tough team to beat. I can just give you the top goal, the scorers here. So obviously Damsgaard scored, Poulsen scored, Christian of Chelsea scored, and Mahel, if I can pronounce that right, also got a goal late on. But tomorrow at 11 o'clock, we do have coffee with Guillaume, and we have a little clip here, just to give you a little teaser of what the show is about. Little teaser. He likes his coffee, I think.
I love it. So, it gets you an insight into Guillaume's life a bit. You know, he goes out for a coffee, thinks about something about football, and, you know, that's all put together. I think it's a little bit of a fun capsule every morning.
Yeah, it's really unique, and it's got a great bit of information of the previous night's games. And there might be someone else in there as well about football that you might find interesting, some facts and stuff like that. So we had sure to catch that at 11 a.m. There you can see BST, British Standard Time, every morning on Twitter and Instagram. So I'd just like to say thank you for joining me for the later stage of the show. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
It was great fun, Josh, even though I'm so disappointed in my rapid fire performance. But, you know, next time.
It's quite late for you, so you know.
I know, it is 2:30 a.m. I'm going to excuse myself from that.
And obviously, people on YouTube and obviously viewers on Twitch, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for next Monday where we get into the round of 16 and we'll be into episode 4 and we'll be probably around about halfway through the tournament. It's going really quick and we'll see you all very soon.
We should do a quick shout out even to our producer before we actually switch off, because Ari has been fantastic through a birthday weekend. Happy birthday, Ari.
Happy birthday.
You can put up the end screens. We're just having fun right now. Just go for it.
Well, he might have flicked his webcam on.
It's late, isn't it? Poor guy. It's so awesome being able to do this.
It's so much fun. Yeah, hopefully we can keep it through some of next season as well. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I love this